Yo, what's going on, guys? We are back for another Chainsaw Man chapter, and we finally get to see Asa, and then a little bit of Yoshida too at the end, but we just got to get right into it because this one is pretty big. I mean, we definitely get to see some crazy shit happen in this chapter, which is like, par for the course for these chapters as of recent because, we get Quan Chi back. We get the Katana Man back. Now we get Asa back and Yoshida. We're finally seeing, I think, the full story accumulate into, I guess, this final or at least this confrontation that we're going to be going into. But right away, the Chainsaw Man church is being raided, or they're getting like taken over by public safety, because public safety and this one dude, he has like black hair, he's got like a little goatee thing. It seems like he is pretty like high in the public safety rankings or something, but he's talking about how we've gained control of all of the Chainsaw Man like locations and their facilities. We're gonna basically take all the weapons, we've seized them all, and then we're gonna like I guess send all the miners who have like devil contracts into like some consultation therapy thing, and like call all the parents and like make a victims group, because like, I mean, this is like a cult. These kids have probably gone through a little bit like too much for their own good. Like they had to learn how to fight, shoot, and all this stuff. Like I'm gonna guess they were somewhat abused. But they're all talking about like bring media also, because we need the media to see all their crying faces and stuff. But this dude continues to talk about like, also capture Asa Mitaka, aka the War Devil. And they're talking about like we can't leave their poster girl out in the wild and stuff. Like we were hoping that the Chainsaw Man would get turned into a weapon by her. And that's like really interesting. Like Fujimoto's doing a lot of like he's dropping a lot of small details that could hint at a lot more. But like right here we have like, they were hoping that Asa would turn Denji into a weapon. And that means that they just want to get rid of the Chainsaw Man. I mean, like Yoshida and public safety were telling Denji to not be the Chainsaw Man anymore, like be a regular person. We don't really need you anymore. So like they're basically like, I guess, staying with the idea that they don't want Denji or the Chainsaw Man around because he just does too much stuff sometimes. And I mean, I respect it. Denji's sort of like chaotic, but in a good way. Either way, they're talking about like, sir, the devil name consultant wants to speak to you. And he says it's urgent. So, I mean, that's another like small detail that like means a lot. Like we have devil name consultants, so that means that there's a study of devils, and there's probably more devil name consultants like, or like experts of devils. This also means that like devil names can be like figured out like relatively easy. Like they're not like some like mystical thing that you need to like, talk to like an omniscient being to like understand. Like you can identify a devil and its name based on, I guess, like the abilities or like how its body works and stuff. But the girl that like brought up the devil name consultant, she's talking about like, what do you think the Chainsaw Man Church like wanted out of this? And I feel like this is just Fujimoto like telling us what the Chainsaw Man Church wanted like on the surface, and that was just like to play at being Chainsaw Man, or like to pretend to be this like hero savior figure, because we all know Chainsaw Man was like really like highly regarded as like a hero, at least a little while ago before the Chainsaw Man Church stuff happened. But like I feel like somebody, the head of the Chainsaw Man Church or somebody up there that's controlling them, they wanted to like, I guess, like feel like their own version of this hero, and they basically took the Chainsaw Man name and they like plastered it on their own like company and stuff like that. But we just know that the Chainsaw Man Church, like there's somebody in there that regards Denji like super highly, or like they just love the Chainsaw Man, something like that. They want to be the Chainsaw Man, and obviously we know there is a fake Chainsaw Man somewhere, and he might be the leader, like the number one in command of like just the whole church. Because right here we cut to see Denji, Nayuta, and like Barim, and the public safety devil hunters are there to arrest him. And they say like, you're the second in command, Barim Bridge. We learn his last name, I guess it's Bridge. So they're basically saying he's the second in command. And that leads like the door open obviously for who's like the first in command. And I'm not sure if it's been like stated before, but does public safety know about Fami and her like, connection with the Chainsaw Man Church? Because that like, maybe that means that they know that Fami's the leader. I'm not sure. But if they don't know who Fami is, or like if she has like no like, I guess, connection with like the leadership of the Chainsaw Man Church, she was just doing stuff for her own volition, then maybe it might be the fake Chainsaw Man. Because, I mean, we still haven't seen him in a long time. I mean, like, who killed Yuko? Who? We need to know, because this whole, like, I mean, it's been a mystery since, like, almost, like, the start of the manga. That's when we first got introduced to Asa and all this stuff, so maybe he's the first in command, the fake Chainsaw Man, or the black Chainsaw Man. I think that's what they called him. But either way, we have Fumiko talking about, like, why don't you just work with public safety? Like, we have the bow and the katana. And that's also interesting, like, why doesn't she call them by their names? Like, you know, they are humans. Well, I mean, hybrid humans, but they're still part human and they have names. And they just called, like, Barim by his name. So maybe it's just, like, you know, easier to say, like, Bo and Katana are with us instead of saying Quan Chi and whatever the Katana Man's name is are with us. But it sort of just feels like they're using them as tools, like, again, with, like, how the other weapons devils were used by, like, Barim and the Chainsaw Man Church. Like, they're just going to be weapons and they don't have their own minds at the end of the day. So we will definitely see how, like, that, like, dichotomy works with public safety and these hybrid humans. But we have Barim talking. He's like, shut up, bro. Like, I just want to look at the sunset. It's the perfect time. Most beautiful time of the day. But we cut to see, like, the Devil Hunter HQ, like, basement thing where, like, they keep all the devils at. Like, we've been here before, but we have the devil name consultant person. And they're talking about this devil, like, upon analysis, is the Justice Devil. And this is the same devil that we saw get defeated by the chainsaw bike with Denji and Asa. But, I mean, we weren't exactly sure who this was. Again, I'm not completely sure if they already stated that this was the Justice Devil. But, I mean, this devil being the Justice Devil finally, like, I guess, clues us in on what this thing is. And also the, like, contracts that have been throughout this entire part. And we get more, I guess, clarity on what those contracts actually could be later on. But we have this devil name consultant, and I'm not sure if it's a guy or a girl, but they have a pretty cool design. Like, they have one eye stitched shut, I think it's the right eye. They have, like, a mask over their face, and then they have, like, blonde hair, it looks like. But they're like, I would stake my life on it being the Justice Devil. Because, like, the black-haired dude, the leader that we were talking about earlier, he says, is there any chance that this is, like, the equality devil? Or, like, a fairness devil? Which, I mean, is equality, like, does that, like, can that be a devil? I mean, I guess it could, but either way, this dude's like, no, I'll stake my life on it. And, like, even after the deaths of the Justice Devil, the thing that's weird is that people still had Justice Devil powers. I mean, this is just cluing us into, like, usually if the devil is dead, you can't, like, access their contracts. And then the name consultant, he's like, you know, this, like, begs a question. So, like, even after the devil, like, was killed, like, the people of the Chainsaw Man Church still had access to the Justice Devil's powers. And we saw that last chapter. Obviously, that was Fujimoto, like, literally putting that plot, like, line into play. But, of course, they're probably still fighting people because, like, we learn later that they are fighting. The Chainsaw Man Church and the Devil Hunters, they're, like, in, like, a sort of a war right now, but they're fighting each other. And that, I mean, I'm guessing some of them are using the Justice Devil's powers, because I keep saying that because it's not the Justice Devil that the powers that they have. I'm pretty sure, because, you know, this dude's like, you know, in that case, it's probably not the Justice Devil that they have contracts with. And that makes sense, but also not really, because, like, they've been saying, everybody who has had these contracts have been saying that it's the Justice Devil that they've gotten these powers from. So it's interesting to see that maybe there's a devil that's been lying about its name or, like, its powers. So, I mean, does this mean that there is, like, other devils that have been, like, misnamed or, like, they're lying about their names? We can definitely, like, see later on, but, like, from this, there's a lot of questions that we have. Like, is every single devil contract with the Justice Devil, like, is that real? Like, the actual Justice Devil's contract? Like, Yuko, did she actually make a contract with the Justice Devil, or was that with this other devil that's giving the Chainsaw Man Church their powers? I am not sure. I would like to get more clarity on this, and I bet we will sooner or later, but we cut from this to see Asa, finally. And she's hearing the news report about the Chainsaw Man Church and the Devil Hunters and their fighting and stuff, but she's like, what? Like, huh? She's super confused by this, because, like, she doesn't really think that, I guess, the Chainsaw Man Church could do something like this devious or, like, malicious, but, like, she looks a little bit pissed. But right when she's watching this, she hears, like, a knock on the door. Guess who it could be? But like, the person says, like, War Devil, like, lay down, put your hands behind your head. Like, and Asa's like, she's confused, like, Yoru's right behind her looking and stuff. But we see Asa become, like, a little bit better at, I guess, dealing with these, like, tough situations or like, tough to handle situations for her usually. But she's like, you know, I came up with a plan just in case anybody tried to, like, attack my apartment. And she's like, the apartment belongs to me. Like, I own it. So I'm probably going to turn this room into a weapon. Like, and I'll need you to control my body right after so, we can fight because I can't fight. And I just love this because Asa's like, she's like, if this is like, it could be a life or death situation. She doesn't really know, but she's putting her life in Yoru's hands. She's like, we got to stay alive. But either way, Yoru's like, you've become pretty wild compared to, when we first met. That like weak girl that I used to know is no more. But Asa's like, I mean, look at you. Like, look what you've put me through. You forced me to fight, forced me to kill people. Like, you've done all this shit. This wouldn't be happening if you weren't here, but, we're still homies at the end of the day. But she's like, get ready. As she puts her hand on the floor to basically turn this apartment into a weapon. And she says, room 606, sword. But right when she says that, her door gets busted in by an octopus tentacle. I mean, we already know who it is. Yoshida basically like blitzes in with a sword and cuts something. But I mean, the best part is like the panel or like the speech bubble for like when she says sword at the end of her like room 606 sword, it's covering up her arm that she put on the ground. But we cut to Barim, and he's getting cuffed. He's getting put in like he's getting arrested basically, and he's singing Kumbaya. He's like, Kumbaya, my lord. He's singing the whole thing, and Denji's talking to Naito like, come on, Naito, like I'm gonna go drop you off, and Naito's like, I'm starving. And first of all, another small little detail or hint that Denji might be fighting soon. Maybe I've been predicting it. I mean, a lot. It hasn't happened yet, but like he's saying he's gonna drop Naito off. And I mean, in my eyes, that means he's going to leave her there and come back. Or he's going to go somewhere else and do something. So also, if you guys like the Chainsaw Man content, want new chapter reviews each week, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Back to the video. Maybe Denji's like, if shit hits the fan, I got to go and fight. So he's like, I'm going to drop you off, like leave you safe and, go do my shit. Even though I'm pretty sure Naito is like arguably more powerful than Denji. And she's a kid, so she might not know how to use her powers fully. But like, we saw what she did to Asa. Like, we know she can do shit. And control, like, she can just tell people to do whatever she wants. But obviously, Denji's sort of trying to lead her on a good path where, like, she's not going to be like Makima and just, like, order people around, like, all the time and, like, basically not have any love in her heart for other people because she can't connect. But we know Naito's different. She's a good person. I hope. She's still a devil, but I hope she's a good person. And then we see the sunset. Barim, he talked about it's the most beautiful time of the day. He's still singing Kumbaya. And this is just like really eerie because like, he's singing this song about like peace and he's probably just going to transform and just kill as many people as he can. Like that's just my guess. But we cut again to see Yoshida, his face this time. We see the mole. We know it's him. And we see the last panel of the chapter, Asa's arm chopped off like right around here, flying in the air, and she's like a little bit shocked. She didn't have any time to react. Like Yoshida is fast. I mean, he can fight Quan Chi. He put some hands on her, so we know this dude has some speed. But like he's just standing there looking cool as fuck with like in his like pose after he just slashed Asa, and we have like more speech bubbles of Barim singing Kumbaya, and end of chapter. No break next week, so that's a huge W. But, I mean, this is just, like, Asa's arm is gone. Can she heal like Denji would be able to? She needs blood then? How is she going to get blood? I don't know. Is she just going to be taken into custody? I'm not really sure. Like, there's a lot of ways that this can go. Like, maybe Yoshida is going to try and kill her because, he knew she was trying to make a weapon. Or maybe, Yoru takes over, actually, fights a little bit. Maybe she's on par with Yoshida. I doubt it, just because Yoshida's hand-to-hand is probably like insane. I did like a ranking video of like top 10 strongest devil hunters, and I'm pretty sure he was number 2 or 3. So like this dude is like just built different. But like right away when I saw him, I got like super like Aki vibes. He's got like the white shirt on. He's got like the like vest thing. I don't know, like the sword sheath holder thing. I don't know what it's called, but like it looks just like Aki's. It's like it was like right down the middle, and we know, but obviously no top knot, and that motherfucker's dead. So rest in peace. But end of the chapter, we definitely have a lot of shit to look forward next week because like the fighting was gonna happen, but they stopped it. The public safety stopped it, and now more fighting is probably gonna happen. I predict that Barim, he's gonna start, causing some shit to happen before Nayuta and Denji can like go home. So Denji might have to fight Barim there. And then Asa or Yoru versus Yoshida, that is like a lot more, like, that's a fight that's a lot more like one-sided in my opinion. Like, I just think Yoshida built different. Plus his octopus devil's like really strong. So we definitely will see. Like, there's so many like questions and theories opened up in this chapter. Like, who's the number one like head of the Chainsaw Man Church? Like, how does the Devil Hunters know so much about Asa and stuff like that? Like, where does the story go next? I'm not sure. Like, who is this fake Justice Devil? Like, we have a fake Chainsaw Man, and now we have a person or a devil trying to pretend to be the Justice Devil, where like maybe it's the Death Devil. Like, that's been a theory that's been like thrown around like everywhere. Like, people say like Yoshida might be the Death Devil and all this stuff, but I still think the Death Devil has not been revealed at all. Like, it's still lying in wait for something that's just going to happen like later on, because you can't just introduce 3 of the horsemen, 2 of them in this part, like near the start of the part, and then not introduce the last one. Like, we sort of need to. But like, there's lots of stuff that could happen. Maybe it's the Death Devil that's like manipulating all these strings, saying that I'm the Justice Devil, I'm giving all these contracts out to these kids to like make myself stronger in some way. Maybe it's a thing where like, the Death Devil gives contracts out, and once the person with the contract dies, they like, get stronger from the like, just the death. So there is lots of stuff that could happen. All that Death Devil stuff is pretty, out there. I doubt it happens anytime soon, but the story is seeming to reach at least a climax of like this Chainsaw Man Church arc. So we're gonna see if either like this is gonna like wrap up like the first half of the story, and then maybe we go into actual Chainsaw Man pacing where shit's gonna go a lot crazier, because we've definitely picked up the pace a lot more than we had like been doing before. Like, it's been very, very slow, Chainsaw Man Part 2. And now, I mean, we get like returns of fan favorite characters, and actual like fighting is happening. I mean, it's more like, 1 or 2 panels of fighting, but like even last chapter we had like the nail devil person fighting, and then we had the Katana Man show up. So there's been lots more shit happening. So we're definitely going to be, I feel like, into the more like Chainsaw Man Part 1-esque like territory where shit's hitting the fan. But also, like, I have a whole theory on why Part 2 is a lot slower than Part 1, where like Fujimoto knew Part 1 would be like a hit in Shonen Jump. Like, he knew what to write that like people would like. That was sort of a rhyme, but not really. But he knew what people would like, and he wrote that. Something like crazy, balls to the wall, like super, like typical shonen, but not like at all. Like, it definitely paves its own road in the shonen genre. But it feels like Part 2 now, he's writing something that he actually wants to write, not something that he knows that other people will like. So yeah, it seems like this, like, Part 2 is going to be actually the, part of the story that's more heavy hitting, more narrative driven, and I guess like just better. Because in my opinion, the storytelling and stuff for Part 2 is 100% like better than Part 1 so far. Like, if you compare the start of Chainsaw Man, it was pretty bleak and normal. Like, there was obviously some ideas and stuff, but it was relatively typical to a shonen manga. Like, for the first 45 chapters. Since we're in chapter 145, I guess it's 46 chapters of Part 2, but we're around the same area where like stuff starts to go crazy in Chainsaw Man. In Part 1 at least, so we will see. Thank you guys if you made it this far in the video. I do appreciate it. More Chainsaw Man videos will be coming out. I'm trying not to miss chapters like last week, but if you came back for another chapter review, I do appreciate it too, because, you guys are the goats. The people that watch the Chainsaw Man content are the real ones. You guys know this shit's the good manga. JJK, it's just hyped. But yeah, I mean, I do like Chainsaw Man a little bit more than JJK, but, right now, shit's just hype in JJK. Everybody loves it. But Chainsaw Man, that's where my heart is, man. Nah, bro. But thank you guys for watching. Again, I do appreciate it. Please subscribe if you liked the video. And peace.